Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I am so happy to be back on the Jane's Doodles YouTube channel today with this fun little Easter card. I'm using an older stem set today, but I love it. It is so cute. You absolutely don't have to just use it for Easter. It is perfect for spring cards. Those little bunnies are so fun. This is the Spring Picnic stem set from Jane's Doodles, and I am stamping a couple of images onto Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. This is an alcohol marker friendly ink, but as you know, once I'm done coloring, I will stamp this again with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I will emboss it because I love an embossed outline. Now you saw me wipe off one of my stamps first and then re-ink it. I had inked it up a little bit too much. I had just re-inked this ink pad and it was juicier than I was expecting. So I noticed that the ink was seeping in between the lines of the stamp, and that usually never gives a good impression. So I wiped that off, re-inked it gently again, and then I stamped it. I'm going to color these in with my Ohuhu markers. I really like these. These are great for coloring on a budget, and yeah, I just have a really good time with them every time. I haven't been coloring a lot lately, so I tried to leave the caps up on my desk so you could see the color combinations, but yeah, I haven't been coloring a lot, so I keep forgetting to put the caps down. It's definitely a habit to keep them in my hand and fiddle with them while I'm coloring. For the eggs, I am dotting a couple of them, just a few little dots here and there, so to give it a little bit more texture. And I'm keeping my coloring very, very simple and light. I'm not doing anything dramatic here. Usually I go for a very dramatic shadow to make it really pop off the card. But I wanted to keep this coloring quite light and airy for spring. And because I knew the background colors of my card were also going to be quite light. So I'm using a pale yellow for the chick, and then I will also use some pink for the butterfly later on, and some orange as well for those butterflies. I really like the butterflies as an addition in this stem set. I like to, usually when you make scenes like this, there's something missing in the sky, and I really like it when there are butterflies or little birds like Jane usually includes to fill that empty space up. Like I said, the coloring is very, very simple. I always struggle to talk through this bit of the video because I don't have a lot to say about it. I just start from my darkest color and go down to my lightest. That just works best for me. Once that's done, as I said, I am going to stamp it again. Just put it back in my MISTI. But I didn't show it this time. I completely forgot to press record again. So these are the dies I'm using. This is the tag die and the grass die from Jane's Doodles, and they are a great addition to your dies. I really like the tag because I actually don't ever make gift tags. We don't really use them, so I always think it's a waste of time to make them, even though they're really fun to make. But I really like them as a shape on my card, just a little space to fill with a scene, and then I can add a fun background to my card and have that rest on top, which is exactly what I did for this one. I think a tag is a really fun frame on your card, and it's a fun basic shape, but just a little bit different than a rectangle. Now for my background here, I started out with some really pale blue cardstock, but it does help that it's blue for my ink blending, so I don't have to cover the entire thing. And for the grass, I did the same thing. I started with a really pale green, and then I just added some ink blending over top to add a little bit of depth and dimension. I did cut 2 layers of the grass because I always like that in my scenes, and I'm just gluing them onto the bottom of my tag there. I only put adhesive down at the bottom so the little blades of grass can float up a little bit, and I am doing that for most of the images on my card actually. It's a really fun technique to add a little bit of movement to your card by just not adhering everything down. To add some dimension and again to add some depth to this fun little scene, I am adding some foam tape to that tiny bit of grass at the bottom so it can jump forward and I can tuck in things behind it. Like for this butterfly, I am adhering that down behind that first layer of grass, but I'm also not adhering down the ears. I actually folded them up a little bit, and I just really like the look of that. That not everything is flat. I'm going to do the same thing for the butterflies once I get down to those. But for now, I am adhering that chick up on some foam tape so it can be on the same playing field, the same level as the first layer of grass. For the butterflies, I am going to fold up the wings a little bit before I adhere them down, and I am only going to add glue to the little body of them. So the wings always flutter up, and with strong adhesive, this is really easy to do. If you're worried that they're going to get squished in the mail, they usually don't for some reason. I am using quite big or quite thick cardstock for my images, but if you're worried they're going to get flattened out in the mail, just put a bit of foam tape behind the wings, and that works too. Now for my background, I used a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. I think this is called Flower Frenzy. I really like it. It's all about spring. I did that on cream cardstock, and then I added a little bit of blush colored ink to it to add some pink in there because I love pink. For my sentiment, this is a stamp from that same Spring Picnic stamp set from Doodles. I stamped that in Versamark ink onto yellow cardstock or orange cardstock, and I white heat embossed it. I added a couple of layers of white cardstock behind it to prop it up because I love dimension. And then I am going to adhere everything down. I adhered the background with liquid glue and everything else too, actually. The tag is already 3 layers of cardstock thick, so it didn't really need foam adhesive behind it. I'm finishing this off with some gems from Pinkfresh Studio, and that's it. A really simple card in the end, but I really liked going back to coloring. I haven't done it in a while. I hope you like this early Easter card. I never really sent Easter cards. I'm going to try to actually use them this year because I have a couple left over from last year as well. But I do love making them. It's just, I really need spring after making a ton of Christmas cards. I really love just a brightly colored spring card. I hope you like it too. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Let me know what your favorite spring stamp set is from Doodles because she has many of them and I would have a hard time to choose. I'm not gonna lie. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe so I can see you next time. Bye!